I'm Les Braun. I'm a past president of the San Diego Mycological Society, but I'm also our lichen guy. Lichens are a combination of fungus and algae. At least that's what we thought for 200 years. Recently, they found lichens around the world that had the same fungus and the same algae, but they looked different and they couldn't figure out why. Turns out that in 2016, some lichenologists around the world started researching that, and they found out that there is a third component to lichens, which we were unaware of for the last 200 years or so, and that's yeast. And that's why the same lichen, or the same fungus and the same algae, produce different looking lichens around the world. But locally here, we have quite a collection of lichens available. We've probably got 200-300 species of lichens in San Diego County. Most of them are growing on trees and rocks, but a few of them grow on dirt. And it turns out that the dirt lichens are the rarest lichens in San Diego, probably maybe in even California in the country. And the reason that they're rare is that we've had a lot of cattle ranches who have trampled the ground, and they kill the lichens and they break up the soil. These cryptogamic crusts are very important to keeping the soil in place, and lichens play a key role in that, as do mosses and liverworts and that sort of thing. So anyway, I have a collection here of a few soil lichens that are in the genus Cladonia. I think I have 5 here, but you can see that they're usually kind of foliose. They're sticking up. They're often on raised stems called podidia. This is one here. This is Cladonia sublata. Others are here. This is, oh, I don't know which was which here. Anyway, they're all drying up. This is Cladonia subscrabulosa. I'm sorry, and it looks kind of hairy. Some of the other really rare ones, though, are the ones, these Cladonia mushroom or lichens actually live in the shade on sides of hills and stuff. But the rare ones, like this right here, this is La Praria. These are the ones that have been trampled by the cattle over the centuries, and these are the ones that are really rare, as is this one right here, which is Diploschistus. What did I do with it? Right here. This is the other one. This is another soil lichen that grows right on the soil, actually, obviously in full sun sometimes, and they're just really hard to find anymore. Other lichens that our helper here is going to be talking about are some lichens that are poisonous. Some lichens are edible. There's one lichen, let's see, where is it? Right here. Avernia prunastri is a lichen that is used to create a stain or a dye called royal purple. If you've had Royal Crown liquor, the bag that it comes in is made with this lichen. It's been used for over 400 years to dye material. To identify lichens, you need a microscope and chemicals. You need sodium hydroxide, which is like, what do you call this? The plumber's liquid plumber. And you also need bleach. These are the 2 most common chemicals we use to identify mushrooms, and they identify the different acids that are in the mushrooms or in the lichens. Without a microscope and chemicals, it's very difficult. If you find an orange mushroom in the genus Xanthoria or Caloplaca, something like that, and you treat it with sodium hydroxide, it'll turn purple immediately, bright purple. And it's really a very quick and obvious reaction. These other lichens, like in the Cladonias, when you put the bleach on them, they will turn red or yellow, and that's how you identify these things. It's not easy to identify these lichens, unfortunately. You need the microscope, you need a compound and a dissecting scope to see them, because you have to look for the different parts of them. There's some things called apothecia that you have to look for, and there's things called ceridia, which look like little balls, and that's what you need to identify the lichens with. That's basically what you need to know about lichens. I'm going to pass it off to Sienna now, and she's going to show you some of the chemical reactions, or at least one of them anyway, with the sodium hydroxide on probably a Xanthoria. So Sienna?
Hey guys, I'm Sienna. I'm actually the education manager, but I know a couple things about lichens that I'm going to teach you guys. So there's some really cool lichens in San Diego that you can find in the mountains or sometimes in the lowlands, like the deserts. But one of my favorite ones is this one, and it's actually called the wolf lichen. And that's because there's an acid in the lichen called vulpinic acid that that is actually toxic. And back in the day when there was like farmers like worried about wolves eating their cattle and like chickens, they would actually put broken glass inside of like a deer carcass, and they would also put these lichens in there. And that would actually poison the wolves and prevent them from killing their cattle. So these were really important for those farmers. And then another one are these like orange ones. They're Xanthoridia, and they will actually turn a different color if you put potassium hydroxide on it. And which one is that? That's the K one. So I'm just going to show you guys right here. So hopefully it'll turn like a magenta, like purple. Hopefully you guys can see that. Oh yeah. So pretty. Yeah, and that's one way you can sort of like ID these lichens, is by what color they change. And then one last lichen I wanted to highlight was this. It's called an oak moss, or like in the genus Evernia. And so they are actually found around the world, and they have been really important in actually making perfume. So they'll be using these in a lot of like traditional perfumes. Like you can still actually smell them today in like modern perfumes. And Les like talked about how they would make like the royal purple. So they're pretty important lichen. And so we've been using lichens really commonly for forever. It's just not a lot of people know what they are, but they're really pretty. They come in all different colors, different shapes. And even during the winter, even though we don't really have winter here in San Diego, they will brighten up all the trees and the forests, and actually bring color into like the deserts here. So I encourage you guys to go out and look for these beautiful little creatures, and if you find them, you can post them on iNaturalist or send them over to our SD Myco Instagram, and we'll try to help you ID them or figure out what they are. So, and then one last thing is, so you guys, if you're really interested in lichens, you guys can check out this book, Field Guide to California Lichens by Stephen Chernoff. And so this is like a really good like beginner's guide to learning about the lichens of California, and about like how to ID them, and sort of more about the science behind IDing them. So thank you guys.